So this is going to be our last video on rational expressions. We're going to have just two problems here. So we're going to have a fraction 2 over x squared minus 9 minus 4 over x plus 3. So the instructions here are to simplify. So here we're actually subtracting two fractions, two rational expressions. And the denominators are different, right? Totally different denominators. So we have to find an LCD to put these together, at least common denominator. You always do that only for addition and subtraction to find an LCD. So my first denominator here is x squared minus 9. And we want to see, can we factor that? Yes, actually you can factor that. That factors into what? X plus 3, x minus 3, right? That's just a difference of squares factorization. So we got two primes. X plus 3 is a prime. X minus 3 is a prime. These are the building blocks of polynomials. Primes. Denominator 2. X plus 3 is your denominator, and that's already prime, right? You can't factor that. So remember, when you're finding the LCD, you have to include every prime that shows up, and then take the largest power. So I'll notice x plus 3 shows up, so I have to include that. The power there is 1 on each of those, so it's just x plus 3 to the 1 power of x plus 3. And then x minus 3 is another prime that shows up. So literally x plus 3, x minus 3 is your LCD. All right, now let me rewrite. I'm going to rewrite the first fraction, the blue fraction. It's 2 over... Remember that x squared minus 9 factors into x plus 3. X minus 3. So hey, we already got the LCD in the first fraction. We don't have to do anything to the first fraction to get an LCD. Then we're going to put minus 4 over x plus 3. That's our red fraction. However, the denominator here, x plus 3, is missing something. It's missing something. It needs an x minus 3. So we're going to multiply by x minus 3 to get the LCD. And if you do it on bottom, you have to do it on top to balance the fraction. All right, so what do we have? We have 2 over x plus 3, x minus 3, minus 4 over 4 times x minus 3 over x plus 3, x minus 3. Oh, so the whole point here is we have the same denominators, right? These are the same denominators. So when the denominators are the same, we're just going to keep the common denominator. And we're going to write a single fraction bar, and on top of that, we're going to take 2 minus, right, that's the operation, 4, and then parentheses x minus 3. So I'm just going to keep that fraction bar with the common denominator on bottom. And I'm going to clean up the top. Now, by clean up the top, I mean I'm basically going to distribute a negative 4 through, and then combine like terms. So I'm going to keep that 2 around. Don't touch that 2. And you see this minus 4 right here? This is actually a minus 4. So make sure you take the negative with the 4. Distribute that through. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And then negative 4 times negative 3. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. So we've distributed the negative 4 through. Yes, it's a negative 4. And then combine like terms, right? We got 2 plus 12. 2 and positive 12 is positive 14. So we got 14 minus 4x over the denominator, x plus 3, x minus 3. And that's as far as you need to go. There's really not much else you can do. You can actually do a little factoring in the top, but that doesn't really simplify. There's no cancellations that'll occur at the bottom. So you can just leave it like that. That's the perfect way to leave it. And don't even bother about foiling out the bottom. There's no point in foiling out the bottom. All right, so that's number 5 problem. Let's do one more problem. Number 6. This will be our final problem. This one's a little more complex. We have 2 on top, and bottom we have x squared plus 3x minus 18. It's the first fraction. Then the second fraction, after a plus sign, we have 4 over x squared minus 2x minus 3. So my first question is, are the denominators the same? In order to add or subtract fractions, you need the same denominators, and the answer is no, no, no. Denominators are different. Different denominators, so we're going to have to find an LCD. LCD, least common denominator. So the first denominator, we're going to factor down. We always break everything into primes. X squared plus 3x minus 18. So this is a quadratic trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1, so we can make two pairs of parentheses, put an x here and an x here, and then find two numbers that multiply to give negative 18 and add to give 3. Again, that's multiply to give negative 18 and add to give 3. So what would do that? How about positive 6 and negative 3, right? Positive 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And positive 6 plus negative 3 is positive 3. So there are two primes, x plus 6, x minus 3, or our two factors, we can say, that make up that polynomial. Now let's go into the second denominator. Denominator 2, we have what? X squared minus 2x minus 3, and this is another quadratic polynomial with a leading coefficient of 1. So we're going to make our two pairs of parentheses, put an x in the first, put an x in the second, and then find what two numbers multiply to give you negative 3 and add to give you negative 2. Think about that carefully. Multiply to give negative 3, add to give negative 2. Well, you can say negative 3, positive 1, right? Think about it. If I take negative 3 times 1, I'm going to get negative 3. If I take negative 3 plus 1, I'm going to get negative 2. So those are the two primes that make up that polynomial, x minus 3 and x plus 1. All right, so to find the LCD, you have to take every prime that shows up between the denominators and multiply them together. So we're going to include x plus 6. They both have x minus 3. So we're going to take x minus 3, and we're going to take x plus 1. So that's our LCD. X plus 6, x minus 3, x plus 1 all multiplied together. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go now. That was scratch work on the side, just finding the LCD. I'm going to go to my blue fraction, and I'm going to factor the blue bottom there. We know that factors into x plus 6. X minus 3 from previously. Then I'm going to go to my red fraction plus 4 over, we know that this bottom factors into x minus 3, x plus 1. Now, to get the LCD in the blue fraction, to get the LCD in the blue fraction, we're missing an x plus 1 down bottom. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by x plus 1. And once you do the bottom, you have to do the top to balance the fraction. Then for my red fraction, I want to make sure I have my LCD as well. Right now I have just x plus 3, x plus 1. What is it missing? Well, this is missing an x plus 6, so I have to multiply by x plus 6 on bottom. And if I do it on bottom, I have to do it on top to balance the fraction. So now notice that the denominators are the same, right? X plus 6, x minus 3. X plus 1 is the same thing as x plus 3. X plus 1, x plus 6. These are the same. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a single fraction with that common denominator, x plus 6, x minus 3, x plus 1. And I'm going to take the first top, I'm going to call it the blue top, 2 times x plus 1, and then a plus sign, and then the second top, 4 times x plus 6. And from here, we're just going to clean up the top. Clean up the top. So by clean up the top, I mean, first of all, distribute the 2s. So we're going to have 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 1 is positive 2. And then we're going to distribute the 4. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 6 is positive 24. And that's all over the common denominator, x plus 6, x minus 3, x plus 1, And finally, we're just going to combine like terms up top. So we're going to combine 2x with 4x to get 6x. And we're going to combine the 2 with the 24. 2 plus 24 is 26. And that's going to be all over the common denominator of x plus 6, x minus 3, x plus 1. And that's your final answer. If you want to, you can try factoring the top, but it's not going to really amount to anything because nothing will cancel at the bottom. So just leave it like that. Leave it like that. All right, so this will conclude then rational expressions.